You don't know I can't start my things without my beverages them.
Don't tell you I'm not average. Spread butter on a boy like a sandwich. LB on a musical rampage. Been a response for collateral damage. Seven no response for the weekend producer.
Greetings one and all, this is Lloyd Brown and welcome social media family to Lloyd Brown Music. Before I even go any further with the weekend producer series, I just want to send out my best wishes to each and every one. I hope everyone is good, everyone is safe, everyone is blessed. Even though things are kind of easing up under restriction, things certain levels is kind of rising. So I'm hoping people ain't losing their minds on that front. And speaking of losing their minds, today's episode of Weekend Producer was nearly going to be a weekday producer episode simply because of a small matter of a football match between England and Italy where people are either going to lose their freaking minds or they're going to be bawling in their glasses of beer. And I thought, you know what, let me just get it all out of the way, get it all done. So as you can see, it is daylight. So football's either coming home or it's staying in Italy's trophy cabinet. That's all I'm saying. All right, I want to take the time out to thank a lot of people who has been tuning into the series and has been getting full enjoyment out of it. I've been getting messages from people who are not technically minded, who have no knowledge about plugins and all of that kind of stuff, but they are entertained by my enthusiasm of music production. And yeah, I like that. I like that you like that, because I absolutely love the art of making music and producing music, and indeed sharing it to the world of my enthusiasm of making and producing music. So I want to thank you all. On top of that as well, I've got some music news to basically give to you, but I won't be giving it to you in today's episode because there's a lot of music news that I need to be giving you in relation to 2022, which don't even make sense to me to do right now, because I want to kind of keep it short and keep it sweet, because I need to tune into this football match tonight. And also on today's episode, there will be no mechanics. I won't be going into any mechanics. I won't be pushing no faders, none of that kind of stuff. You won't be getting no on-screen recordings and this and that and blah, 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 blah. This episode is simply going to take the form of a short Q&A, which consists of 2 questions that I've been asked. Speaking of which, if you want to submit any questions to me in relation to music production, please fling them in the description box below and I will feature them on future episodes of Weekend Producer. I really wanted to make a one-off Q&A special thing, but it doesn't seem like it's flowing that way. But if you want to ask questions, I'll just basically include them in the episode that's going to be featuring whatever is going to be featured in that episode, if that makes any sense. All right, so we'll just keep it flowing in that vein across the series. And the first question comes from Shiro FM TV. I've read that tracks are getting shorter and shorter due to audiences' attention span dwindling by 33% and nature of streaming. Basically, we're seeing 2-minute songs now, where gone are the long intros and tunes have to attention grab from the get-go. What are your thoughts about this? I reckon we soon have 1-minute tunes as well. It's a game changer. Well, the first thing I'm kind of picking up from that, and the thing that still remains for me anyway, is it doesn't matter what you do, you still have to grab people's attention, whether it's a 1-minute tune or a 3-minute tune or a 5-minute tune. Granted, it doesn't necessarily mean that a 5-minute tune is going to be a tune worth savoring, but you're going to have to grab people's attention. And I think in this era of technology and the internet and Google and information overload and all that kind of stuff, it's getting to a point where people are really paralyzed by choice. But let me just give you one example. Have you ever sat down in front of the TV with your 600 gazillion channels and all you're doing is just basically flicking? That's basically a sign of where we're at right about now. There might be some good content in those gazillion channels, but if you don't have the patience to just sit and check out something for at least 3 minutes or 2 minutes, you're just gonna go past it, you know? And I think that's basically the state of entertainment right about now, you know, where if you have the most money, if you have the biggest budgets, you can sell crap to anyone, you know. But if you have quality music and you don't really have the budget to really put that out there front and center into people's eyeballs, you know what I mean, and into people's ears ultimately, then you're gonna basically have problems. For me, I think creating 2-minute songs because of people's lack of attention, to me personally, that's kind of pandering to all of that, you know? It's like having a conversation with someone who totally doesn't see your point of view, and within 30 seconds of the conversation, you're just gonna say, you know what, I'm done. I'm done talking to you. When life doesn't really go like that, it's like if you have any value for that person as a human being, and you can see that person's not thinking in a lateral way or in a general way, and he's just thinking on a subjective fashion, and you have that lateral thinking, objective thinking, and you can try and make them see things from another point of view, and then ultimately have them understand where you're coming from, it's a win-win situation. You know, you can't expect people to agree with everything you say. Like, you can't expect everyone to like every piece of music that you've made. But at the same time, if you give them the chance, or if they take the chance to listen to your music, you know, with an open mind, with an open head, with open ears, then you're kind of like 2/3 of the way there. But if you're kind of clipping things down to 2-minute oven-ready chunks, it just doesn't evolve. You know, the art doesn't evolve, your art doesn't grow. In fact, you're kind of stunting it to cater for people who just can't be bothered to even think or even open their minds. And I think that's dangerous, you know. I mean, in a concept where, I mean, don't get me wrong, I mean, in the era of like the shorts video, where you don't make a video longer than a minute, right? I get all of that, you know. And in a weird way, from a musical standpoint, especially from the broadcasting standpoint, that's where we are supposed to be from creation. Because if you look at major TV stations, right, and they put on adverts, they don't last longer than 30 seconds. Why is it when certain radio stations basically put on adverts and stuff, it's like you're getting 15 minutes of adverts in every hour, so you're only getting like around 45 minutes of tune, and God forbid if they're running adverts every half an hour. That means for every hour you're only getting half an hour worth of music, and in those half an hour it's basically split into 6 5-minute chunks, so you're probably only getting 6 tunes, right, for the hour, which makes no sense at all to me. But hey, it's what it is, right? And then you have the dub plates situation, where I know people are really familiar with my take on the dub plate thing, but I will give a mention to it again. I think for me right about now, if I'm gonna spend a good portion of time making a tune, I'm gonna pour my heart over. I'm just gonna hone my skill and hone my craft, get the best musicians I can possibly get to help translate what I'm saying from a musical standpoint to make you understand it in your heart and in your soul and in your head. If I'm gonna be doing all of that and taking the time out to do all of that, and then have a sound system man want me to make a head top version of that, where he's only gonna actually even play 30 minutes of that lesser version to that tune that I sweated over, that doesn't make sense to me either. Don't matter how much you're paying me, it don't make no sense, you know. So there's a lot of things, a lot of variables that contributes towards this whole attention span thing that the music industry seems to be pandering to, because people just can't be bothered to listen to a tune for 3 minutes and 30 seconds. That just does not make sense to me at all. It really doesn't. And the funny thing is, right, is that I haven't really heard any of that material with any regularity. I've actually spoken with a colleague who has told me that he's noticed that as well. But I've not really noticed that, because I've just been in my own zone, as I am every year. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really jump into anyone else's lane and just try and decipher what's basically going on. I just deal with things from a logical lateral standpoint, where it's like, well, you know, if you want to make 2-minute tunes, fine. But if you're selling me 2-minute tunes on an album, and you're selling me a 10-track album, and that's only going to equate to like 20 minutes, that's like, To me, that's like what? That's 4 tunes for me. So you're gonna sell me an album worth of 4 tunes for $8.99? Don't think so. But it's something to think about, you know, it's something to think about. And I will even add on top of that, if this trend goes any further, right, the concept album is going to basically be done away with. You know, the main concept album that I always refer to every single time, as soon as I hear that term concept album, as soon as I utter that term concept album, has got to be none other than Marvin Gaye's What's Going On. One of the greatest concept albums ever made. But even when he made that album, Motown did not want Marvin to release that. All Motown wanted was Marvin to be the girls them sugar, you know what I mean? And just keep the hits coming, keep the money coming. But he was evolving as an artist and he didn't want that. He was at loggerheads with Motown. But then it turned out that What's Going On was probably the biggest selling album in Motown's discography at that point in time. And that's a story that's not unique and exclusive to him. Prince, George Michael, to name 2, happens to the best of us, you know what I'm saying? You know, so there's stunting of different kinds in music. It's not just about the running time of a track, because sometimes you can, you know, you can have real classic tunes that only runs for 2 minutes and odd. I think Otis Redding's These Arms of Mine was like 2 minutes and 20. Do you know what I mean? But there's an art to that. There's an art to it. And it's not necessary that you're gonna have to keep making 2 minute and 20-second tunes to make a point. You know, it's not like that. Anyway, I can hear myself waffling on in regards to that point. But yeah, that's my take on that. We're not coming out to see you drink tea, lied. Anyway, next question. Greetings, Mr. Brown. Who produced the rhythm for your great tune, Main Squeeze? 2, were there 2 versions of the instrumental? And 3, who asked you to voice the rhythm? So number 1, who produced Main Squeeze? Well, it was Tony Phillips. Tony Phillips, guitarist from Rough Cut. He produced the tune, and Jazzwad was basically the musician that played on the tune, that built the rhythm basically. And I think it was Buttons that played the horns as well. I think, and Buttons don't want to be called Buttons, he wants to be known as Henry Mattix. But me is an old foot, so I'm calling him Buttons, all right? So it was Buttons that played one element of the brass section. I don't know who played the rest. Number 2, were there 2 versions of the instrumental? Let's just say there was 3. There was 3 versions of that instrumental, okay? And I'm gonna explain why I came to that conclusion of it being 3 versions of that to begin with. And 3, who asked you to voice the rhythm? I can answer that question in one word. Nobody asked me to voice that rhythm, all right? And with that, I'm gonna explain after this message. Anarchy AUDIOWORX are proud to present their new line of 6 VST plugins available now. Vocalator Pro, Anarchy Comp, LFO Pro, Pulsar, Beef, and Duplex, in addition to the recently released Synth Essentials, all at a heavily discounted price. And as an extra incentive, further discounts have been added on top of the current discounts. By using the discount codes in the description box below, you will get a one-time only additional 20% off the sale price currently advertised. Not only that, but the huge discount bundle on offer where you can save £290 with the total Anarchy bundle. You can get all of their plugins and more for one crazy low price of £180. £200. That's a huge saving of £290 from the original price of £470 if all plugins and samples were bought separately. That's not including the 20% discount you can get on top if you use my discount code at checkout. And there's more. If you join the Facebook AUDIOWORX family group, you can get 1 gigabyte of free samples. The AUDIOWORX family is a community for music producers, composers, musicians, and artists from all genres to gain and share knowledge, network, and discuss all things music creation, where you can find the best deals on VST plugins, sample libraries, software, studio equipment, musical instruments, and other helpful music production resources. In addition to that, there are also regular free giveaways and early access releases exclusive to the group members for sample packs, contact libraries, DAW templates, effects, and so much more. So what are you waiting for? Check out AnarchyAudioWorks.com for their brand new selection of plugins and so much more besides. Anarchy AudioWorks. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the best way I can simply answer the third question is to simply explain how I came to voice that tune in the first place. So the first version of the Columbus rhythm was actually written, produced, and voiced by none other than Winston Rodney, the great burning spear, which featured on his 1980 album, Hail His Imperial Majesty. The track was called Columbus. 20 years later, a Mr. Hugh Beresford Hammond wrote a song called Come Down Farther, which although contained another element which was original to the piece, the main compositional piece consisted of the same bass line, the same chord progression as Burning Spear's Columbus. That was my knowledge at that point in time, from 1980 to the year 2000, of 2 versions of that rhythm. I was signed to Jetstar at that point in time. The Jetstar I'm talking about way back in 2000 is not the same Jetstar that represents me at this time of recording. It's the same name, but it's 2 different sets of personnel within each Jetstar that I'm talking about. So the Jetstar I'm talking about is the Jetstar from 2000, not the Jetstar that I'm working with now. Just want to make that plain and clear. I was signed to Jetstar in the year 2000. Jetstar was basically the powerhouse in terms of record distribution from the UK on a worldwide level. Its main competitor was VP at that point in time. Jetstar decided to make their distribution company a record company by putting studios in their base. So they had like Studio A and Studio B, all right? So the production team that would frequent there would be Danny Ray, Tony Phillips, certain musicians from the Rough Cut Band. You'd have people like Computer Paul as well, who would basically build rhythms on there. From the engineering standpoint, you would have Fitzroy Wizard Blake, who is the brother of Commander B. And it was that, yeah, it was a nice little network of people that was there at that point in time. Myself, Peter Honeygale, Don Campbell, Don Ricardo, Peter Spence, Donna Marie, so many other artists would basically frequent the studio, record on different projects for Jetstar, and in turn Jetstar would put out their compilation albums. Okay, so that was basically the goings on in Jetstar. All right, and on this occasion, I was kind of like ready to start my, I think it was my Against the Grain album. I was ready to start off because I just finished recording and releasing Deep, which was co-produced with Bitty McLean. So we was kind of following up that album with Against the Grain, which really was a fortunate thing for me, because when Bitty approached me in the co-production of that project, it was a blessing for me. But then when it was agreed that he'd be producing the next album, I was over the moon. And the objective was for us to create an album that would get major record company backing. You know, that really was the objective, just to make a world-class, proper, quality album. You know what I mean? Just go all out. So that was basically the plan. Anyway, so whilst all that was basically going on, some of the perks that you can get by being a Jetstar employee, as it were, is that you can go in the warehouse and you can pick any CDs you want, any vinyl you want, and you basically pay for them at warehouse prices out of any advance that you basically get. Sometimes you can get certain tunes for nothing. Certain times you just got to pay for certain tunes at cost price. All right. And that was the coup. Anyway, so in that time, I picked out a handful of CDs and a couple of albums. And I remember Donna Marie's Now Is the Time album as being one of those albums. So I took the album, brought it home, put it on, and okay, I'm feeling the gospel theme kind of running throughout the album. But it wasn't until I heard track number 10, which was called Master Plan, and it went like this.
When God made Adam so that he was lonely, so he took a rib from his side and made a woman. She was to be always by his side, his friend and his company. Adam and Eve, created by the Father's hand. That's the way it should be. That was the Master's plan. Adam and Eve, created by the Father's hand. That's the way it should be. That was the Master's plan.
So you can imagine my surprise when I heard that tune. Because remember, I'm going from 1980 to 2000. I think it was 2001. All right. So those were the three versions that I heard in a space of 20 years, right? And straight away I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that version was even recorded, much less released, right? Because it's on CD, on sale at that point in time. So I'm looking at the back of the CD and I'm like, who produced this tune here? Because it could only be either Danny Ray, Computer Paul, or Tony Phillips. And I saw it was Tony Phillips. Straight away, as I saw that, put out the CD, went on the blow, I was like, Tony, brethren, that tune there, Master Plan, the rhythm, Columbus, I want to voice it. He said to me, boy, Lord, you know, you have to go talk to the man, you know, it's not down to me, you know, brethren, it's not down to me, it's not down to me. I said, what? What are you talking about? I'm signed to the record company, man, just set up the session, let's go. Still have to go talk to the man, you know, Anyway, the next day, jumped on my motorbike, rode like the clappers across North Circular, right? Got to the office, parked up, went upstairs, demanded to see Mr. Palmer. Then I heard window number 7, please. And then I just went straight up and sat down in the office. And I said to Mr. P, Mr. P, I've heard that you got the Columbus rhythm on Donna Marie's album. I've just heard it. I absolutely love that rhythm. Can I voice on that piece? He said to me, well, you know, we've got a little campaign going on, so we've commissioned another artist to voice on it, and we're going to invest in making a music video and this and that and blah, blah, blah and blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I said, look, that's all well and good, but I want to voice the tune. He said, well, you know, we can't really do that for now because we're going to try and make it like like a little exclusive thing so that we can push that tune out. And I was getting really, really annoyed by what he was saying. I have to tell the truth, because straight away I was saying, but I'm signed to your record company. If I'm signed to your record company, surely it will be of your interest and my interest and the interest of the UK reggae industry, as it were, at that time, because we did have an industry then, right, to be putting out quality tunes. And admittedly, this wasn't the first time I had to even beg to voice a tune as a signed artist to the label, but I won't even go into that. So I just said, listen, let me voice on the tune. If you don't like it, rub my voice off the tape. If you like it, release it. I don't care if you put it as a double A. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. But, you know, if you like it, release it. See how it goes. And for me, I don't have this play a tune, it's like big tune, big tune, big tune mentality. My mentality is like I make a tune to the best of my ability and I leave it to the public. Now that's how I do it, because I normally release albums and I make the DJs choose which songs they're feeling from the album, and they in turn make the tune the hit. I'm not telling them, okay, you must make track 5 of my album, give that a power play and make that a hit. That's a backwards way of basically going through it. You give it to the DJ listens to the album and they play what they basically feel. Anyway, in relation to Main Squeeze, right, all I knew was that I knew that Main Squeeze was a nice party tune and I wanted to make a party tune, you know what I'm saying? You know, along the lines of Love You Down and Sharing a Night, you know, because I love making party tunes. I love making party tunes. What else can I tell you? And that basically was the driving force. You know, I couldn't foresee how successful that song was going to be. I just wanted the tune to come out because I consider it to be a nice tune to play, to hear, to dance to. All right, so that was basically that. Anyway, it was done, and it was done reluctantly, and I knew how reluctant they were to do it because in their premises they got 2 studios. They got Studio A and Studio B, right? And Studio A is basically the main studio, is the big studio, that, right? And Fitzroy would basically be the engineer for that studio. But then you have Studio B, where you're basically voicing dub plates, you know what I'm saying? Little Buck studio, right? And Tony was in there with Jazzwad, and I was voicing in there. And I'm thinking, oh, okay, I got demoted now. All right, no problem. A studio's a studio, right? So I voiced the tune, and that was it. I voiced the tune and left it, right? And then I think the other version that they wanted to promote and do all the music video stuff, they released that as a single as well. And I think they released, I don't know if they released my version on 7-inch or they put it on CD, but I'm just trying to remember now, because usually it goes on 7-inch. And if it's got any chance of it being a hit, then they press it onto CD. And I think that's exactly what happened. When they pressed it on 7, got a lot of play. Then they pressed it as a double A side with, I think it was Archie Wonder, right? So even then I knew they still didn't really have faith in it, you know what I mean? In my honest opinion. But then fast forward a few weeks now, and I'm in Germany, right, at a gig with Shinehead and David Rodigan, because I was out there with Silly Walks, right? So they were in town, they were doing a gig, and we went to the gig and basically took in the vibe and what have you. And I remembered Shinehead, he came to me and he said, yo, Lige, you know, you're the remix. Your big tune, you know, your big tune. I said, what? Remix of what? Him said, yeah, man, Alicia Keys do a remix of your tune, brethren. I said, what? And then he said, you have your computer? I said, no. And for some strange reason, it was on that occasion I decided not to take my computer abroad with me, because usually I do, but I didn't at that occasion. And he said, listen, when you go back to London, you know, go onto your computer, go up on YouTube and search Alicia Keys, you don't know my name. Right. Okay. And then the next thing, as soon as I done that and I saw that, it was like, oh my gosh. She's done a remix to her tune produced by Kanye West on the Columbus rhythm that I had to beg Mr. Palmer to voice on. And then the next thing, the tune just shot up. It shot up the charts in New York, it shot up the charts in Florida, it even shot up the charts in California. And California is a roots market. They ain't got no time for no lovers rock music over there, sir. So when I started seeing that Main Squeeze was busting up there, it was a bona fide international hit for me. And it was kind of weird because I didn't know how that felt. I just didn't know how that felt. It was just a case where, okay, so people are liking it all over the world, but aren't people all over the world supposed to like your music anyway? If they like your music, and if you're signed to a record company whose job it is to distribute your music all over the world anyway. That was just my thinking, you know. It wasn't a case where, yeah man, we have a big tune out there, now me man, and me dirty stinking light brown, and me. Nah. So, okay, what's the next project? And that's how it basically was. That's how Main Squeeze came about. And I know it might come as a surprise to some people, but I'm glad that Ranks basically asked the question, because I need people to understand that sometimes the road to creating something that becomes known worldwide is just not that smooth. It's not smooth at all. You know what I'm saying? You go through ups and downs, you go through politics, you go through a whole heap of crapola just to get to the point where you just want the music. You just want the music to get out there and for people to hear the music. You know, I don't make myself the artist that I am. It's the people that supports what I'm doing. It's the people that embrace the music that I make that makes me the artist that I am. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, and I've stuck to that principle for nearly 40 years in my professional career, and it's not going to stop now. But that is the answer to that question, and I hope it has cleared up quite a few things for you. But yeah, like I said, like I alluded to earlier in the response, that wasn't the only tune that I had to go through that process in making and the tune turning out to be a hit. And I'm talking about international hit, all right? But I might answer those questions on another episode, depending on who's gonna ask and what songs are they gonna pertain to when they ask that question. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, that is it for me for today. I hope you full enjoyed the content that I offered you today. And if you learned something, please smack that like button and press the notification bell icon so you can get future content and you can get alerts of those future contents as and when they arrive. I thank you and full appreciation for your appreciation of what I'm doing. And as always, you don't know the coup. People, please abstain from all kind of foolishness, even your own, even my own. So until we link up next time on the next exciting installment of Lloyd Brown Music, people stay blessed. I'm out of here. Maganski, laters.
Weekend producer.